Alright, so I had to make some modifications here because I didn't have the right part. They did not ship the proper piece here, so I had an old gear that was the 20 tooth, I think it was 16, or whatever the standard tooth is. Doesn't really matter because it's just rolling around it. And I put some washers in there to keep it from rolling up against the edges and cutting into the plastic. I don't know how, it's not going to move that fast anyway, but so I had to make that gear because they sent me the wrong one. I may change it out if I can get the right one at some point, but it just needs to be loose enough to where it can run free and have some tension pulled on it. And we got the motor in and everything else down here, which I need to tighten up a little bit because it came loose during the whole process. So everything looks good. Time to move on to the attaching the frame now. Oh, one of these ways. I don't know. That's where we are right now. Alright, here's why you follow instructions. Just got finished zip tying in my smooth rods. Got them all nice and aligned. Everything's perfect. Got my end stop on here, attached to my motor. Clicking. Motor's lined up. And of course I have to go in and put my frame on now. Oops. I already attached the smooth rods. Now I gotta cut these back out, patch this, and reattach them. So follow instructions. Otherwise you get backwards. So we're gonna go back and uncut those and reattach those. Alright, so I was able to get my frame on here. Just simply clipping these wires and popping up these smooth rods, sliding it on. I do see one problem, and I'm not sure where I'm missing, but the end stop is not getting hit before the linear bearing is hitting the frame here. The end stop's not getting hit. So I'm not sure where I'm missing. I'm going to go ahead and look at the instructions and see why this carriage belt is not hitting the end stop. Alright, here's the rundown of where we are with this Y carriage and how it's working. We have the end stop that's still not getting hit by this, so we're just going to leave that for right now because we could always add a piece underneath it here to extend it down. But you can see this thing is tight. It does slide back and forth without any grabbing, but it is tight. Okay, so that's the one thing I need to work on. I believe I over-tightened my belt, but I'm not sure to what degree. This is way too tight. I just feel like it's too tight. I'm going to have to go back in, which is going to be a nightmare, and remove these belts, which I've clipped down already, and inset them back in one notch backwards, which means I'm going to take the motor back off, or at least one side of it off, loosen it, loosen all this, and get just another notch out of that, because that may be too, I mean, I can pitch together, but it takes some pushing to get it together, and it seems to flex everything when I do that. That's where we are right now with that part. I'm just kind of pushing on it, and it's just sliding it on the table and not sliding the carriage, and I want it to slide that carriage. So I've got everything in place that otherwise, and I'm ready to mount this, I believe, to here, but I don't think I'm going to do that until I loosen this up just a little bit for now. That's where we are. Alright, 2 lessons learned in the process of building this that I just wanted to update you guys on. For one, can you see these? No. I'll bring them up on top here. The wires to the motor, if they're touching, the wrong ones are touching, but let's just say they're all touching, the motor won't move. If just 2 of them are touching, and they're the right 2, not those 2, the motor will fight you. Making sense, right? So, when I was doing this earlier, I think I had my wires slightly touching. Maybe one strand of the wire was touching. So we got a much better move. and I ended up putting it back in the same spot it was. It's still tight, but we got a good move. Second, because of the belt carriage not hitting the end stop, I went ahead and added this piece of plastic here. It's a 3D printed piece of plastic. It came in another kit that I had bought accidentally. Talked about that in my first video. I cut off, I'll probably have to reprint these if I need them. I cut off from the end of that hole all the way down, kept those two holes all the way up to the end of that hole. And I screwed that in right at the end of my belt carriage with the screw that was already in there. So the screw is right on the belt now, but it's not going to matter because it rides with it the whole way and back. It doesn't rub it. And that gave me the extra centimeter that I needed. It might be a little long, and I'll show you that now. I could sand it down though. It's PLA. Let's see, can you guys see it coming down? And click, 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 click. When it hits all the way, this doesn't hit, which you don't want it to hit. So it's activated right there. Gives me about 6 millimeters maybe before it hits the edge there. I don't know what that number is supposed to be. So I may have shortened my bed by a short amount by doing it that way. But not bad. I don't understand how this end gets a end stop, but this end does not. You know what I'm saying? Because chances are it can hit this bed, this side, just as hard as it can hit that side. Maybe that's just for zeroing out. Bring it to the front of the, and then, you know, this way zero out, and then Z zero out. So maybe it's just for homing. I don't know if those end stops are for stop everything or if they're for homing. But mine's hooked up now. We're functioning. Modifications, obviously I need to cut that off. I need to cut that off a lot more. That's what we've got for this video. I'm going to put it up, and I know it's a short video, but it's the end of the Y axis that I didn't put up this morning. So I'll go ahead and post that, get that up, and be done with this.